Hey gang, Kevin here, Life22, and we are back for another edition. I wasn't gone long. I know a lot of you guys miss me, even for those brief moments I'm gone. So we are moving on to something that is semi what the other series was related to, the J.Whitcher series. But this one, so there was a protest. I can't remember the date. It was towards the end of September, and before the protest, there was a protest at the school board meeting, and then there was also the public comment at the school board meeting, and that's when this whole issue kind of went down, which involved another pastor in our area, S.Obergfell, which there's been a big controversy why he was there, what he brought to the table. I know a lot of people I've talked to on the issue were like, he shouldn't even be there. His church, he doesn't live in Olean. He's from Allegheny, yada yada. Okay, well that's fine and all. But the same argument can be made for any business owner. If you're responsible for taxes, you should have a voice at the common council or any taxing entity, really. His church and is in Olean on the Constitution. He runs the Believers Chapel, so I would assume that majority of his parishioners live in Olean, or at least a large portion of them. And even if just one did, that should give him the right to show up and speak at a school board meeting, especially on a controversial issue. I am a big believer in the point that Matt Walsh makes from the Matt Walsh podcast, and that is that all Department of Education is a federal department, and from there they fund through federal taxpayer dollars each state's Department of Education. A large portion of those, and so it's a trickle-down effect. So essentially, if I'm paying taxes to the state, or if I'm paying taxes to the federal government, I should be able to speak at any school board across the country, regardless, and they can suck it. So with that said, there was an issue with, there was a video war. Let's get back to the beginning of it. Okay, so S.Obergfell spoke first to the school board, and all I was able to see when I was researching this whole issue was that Sean had said something, and his Sean had said something, or he was finishing up his speech, and then all of the people that Leo had brought started interrupting him and saying, time's up. They did a countdown. Screw you. Shut the fuck up. There was a lot of that stuff being sworn at the meeting, and it took me a while to find that video. That video was recorded first because, per the minutes, Leo spoke afterwards, and the only video you can currently find on the internet. So after I did my research, I saw the video, then I started gathering the video so that I can review here on the channel. And the downside is that there was like a war back and forth after this happened. So then by the time Leo went up to speak, some ladies in front of S.Obergfell started doing the same countdown, and your time is up, and shut the fuck up, and doing the same exact thing, and all of Leo's people like, really? You should blah, blah, blah. And what happened was, everybody, they had like 15 people share the Leo's version of that controversy, and Sean's video, or whoever was filming and that caught the tail end of Sean's speech, got clipped out, and they had this back and forth cancel war. They were reporting each person's video, and literally the only one that is still standing is the one where these ladies are yelling at Leo, telling him that Leo's time is up. And then, in the heat of the moment, Sean started saying, it's religious freedom, blah, 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 this is about religious freedom. So he didn't even tell him to shut up. It's just, should he have said anything? Probably not, but tensions were high. This was a very two angry mobs in the same room. There's a conflict in opinion, but the fact that then you go to social media and the only person who is doing a countdown and telling the other person to shut the F up is two ladies that I don't even know if they're related to Sean or if they're from his church or of another church or what they're there for. Maybe they don't even know each other. I have no idea. But they were sitting close in proximity. And so that's what this video is portraying. And because I can't get my hands on the other footage, it does not mean that this video is any evidence against Sean or his parish. All it shows is how one-sided the internet can be. So they were trying to silence Sean's speech, and and it's a lot of people are missing this controversy. And this is an important video. This video here that I'm making is important to set you up to understand why so many people are speaking inappropriately at the school board meetings in the future, because I've listened to 2 weeks worth now of school board meetings, and everybody's, well, you had no problem letting these religious folks scream out of turn and silence the opinions of others, blah, blah, blah. And it's because every one of those people had only seen the one side of the video. And so without watching my video to explain what had happened, you will just assume that Sean and everybody else are in the wrong. And that's not, that's just, it is what it is. So that's, so we'll go into this video real quick and understand. And if anybody out there, knows Sean or who recorded Sean's video, can get me that video, I will present it here as a part of our video, and we can break down how dumb the other side is. So you can forward that to me at the Gmail. We have all that information, the contact on the channel, and I know tons of people know how to get a hold of me because you guys send me hate mail and death threats all the time. So it's just it always gets to me. So I mean, people will figure it out. So let's jump in to this. The video is not long; it's like 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Then again, we did go 20 minutes listening to a 6-minute video from clipped apart of J.Whitcher. So
That's being spelled like that. My name is Leo Walters Tahara. I'm a small business owner. I'm an Olean taxpayer. I am a Christian minister.
So let's restart that real quick.
That's being spelled like that. My name is Leo Walters Tahara. I'm a small business owner. I'm an Olean taxpayer. I am a Christian minister.
Small business owner, correct. Olean taxpayer, maybe. I know their small business up and screwed over a landlord with thousands of dollars worth of damage, and then moved to an Allegheny location. So I don't know if they're still paying taxes on that. And then I spoke with their previous landlord when they moved their residence, and they left that place in shambles as well, causing thousands of dollars in damages, and wanted their security deposit back, and didn't think they needed to pay the last like 3 months of rent. So anyways, taxpayer, if you consider the fact that your rent goes to taxes, goes to the landlord who then pays property taxes, then you might be correct. If you also go into the idea that you have a tax return and you pay money into the government, then the money you pay into the government would then go to federal Department of State and then back down to this school board. Or even if you were to talk about the city of Olean, then it goes, you pay state and federal income taxes, and if you pay in, then you are paying those taxes. Or if they're keeping any portion of it and you don't walk away with more than you've paid in, then you would be an official taxpayer. And then if those entities like the city of Olean were to get a grant that came from the state or the federal government, then I could see how you could make that argument. But let's continue.
And I'm a concerned parent.
Oh, Christian minister. I'd also like to point out that if Leo is a Christian minister, it is very hard to find Christian ministers that disregard Leviticus. I don't find too many. That's where part of this controversy shows up too. Like, right, a lot of the local churches don't agree with homosexuality or gay marriage. That's in their scripture. I'm like, you know what I mean? So I mean, if you were to cut a bunch of it out and say, okay, now this is the part of Christianity we agree with. Okay, and that to each their own. I'm a big religious freedom person, so To each their own. I just wanted to preface with that.
Of a non-binary child that goes to Olean School District and has mental health issues.
Gonna stop right there. So a concerned parent with a non-binary child with mental health issues. So let's talk for a minute about how if you're non-binary, if you were born a biological male or woman and you have gender issues, typically you have a lot of mental health problems because that is gender dysphoria. And that's a mental health issue. And then for a transgender parent to have a child that is non-binary, that sounds like Munchausen's by proxy. Or at least whatever, if your grandparents beat your parents and your parents beat you, guess what? Chances are you're going to beat your kids. That's kind of how it works. And I'm talking in like a negative sense, right? Like, 'cause spankings are acceptable, things like that. But if your parent was transgender and your grandparents are transgender and you're have gender dysphoria down the line, guess what? Chances are you're going to look at them as an example, and then you're going to have gender dysphoria. That, to me, sounds appropriate. And mental disorders are, a lot of times mental issues can be solved. That's why they're issues, right? You can solve an issue. So, anyways.
On June 21st, 2008, the special education director stated in public media that LGBTQ people were possessed by the devil. On June 27th...
Were they? So for Joel's thoughts, in his scripture, they may have been corrupted by the devil, because that's the entire basis of Christianity, right? That anything that's a sin, the devil will continue to convince you to do a sin so that you can't go to heaven and he can claim your soul. Because when you get to St. Peter, he says, go downstairs. That's their religion. So that's what they believe. You can't unbelieve that. And they put it on social media, and we've discussed this earlier in the channel. They put that on social media because it was on their church's page. They posted it to YouTube so they could put it on so they could host the video onto their church's website, so that people that go to their church who can't make church or are home or afraid of the pandemic or visiting family out of town but still like to go to their church, that's for them. And so you call it social media, but it's not like they were posting it as like an opinion piece. It was posting it as part of the church. He has another job, right? It's like me. I have multiple jobs. I am a father, which doesn't pay anything, but it is the most rewarding job that I have. But then I'm also an employee at a local government. I am, which is one of my jobs. Another job is I'm a landlord, and I have responsibilities there. I own a small repair and construction company. That is another job, and I have responsibilities there. I also run a YouTube channel, and I have responsibilities to these jobs. And luckily, at this job, I get to present my opinions. And if I don't present my opinions, I get fired from this job, right? The business shuts down, or they have to find somebody else, right? That's how this works. And one job can't fire me. Like, my construction job, if it was managed by somebody else, could not fire me for, on my off hours, fixing one of my rentals. Well, we don't like how you're moonlighting. That's my property. It's a rental. I'm obligated to fix these things. Well, you stated your opinion when you were hired by Life22's channel, like a television channel, right? Like Walter Cronkite. Or an actor who gets hired to be on a TV show. That's what this is. This is a job. This is This is something that I do. So when you go, I'm also the vestry pastor for the Order of Tempest. So if I posted a video for the Order of Tempest on the Order of Tempest's YouTube page preaching our scripture, nobody could. You know, we have to fire you because you're doing your job over there. Like, you wouldn't hire a Christian pastor at Fresh Fire to be speaking things that weren't Christian scripture and what that particular church subscribes to. You just wouldn't do it. So now all of a sudden you're expecting him to... I'm sorry, you work for the hammer company and you swing hammers, and then you get off and you want to work at the screwdriver company and you screw screwdrivers. You screw screws with screwdrivers instead of hitting hammers with nails. You can't. It's not like there's a feud. You can't fire somebody because no, I'm sorry, we don't elect. It's not like you brought a screwdriver to the hammer company, right? That's what's going on. We draw lines, and you didn't pass any lines, and that's the problem. So, anyways,
we came here to seek our school board to stand up for our students, for our children, period. We came back on July 3rd and we presented a plan that we had formulated by consulting multiple education lawyers. The issue at hand today is not religion. The issue at hand today is not a person. Because healthy people don't attack people, healthy people attack problems. And the problem that we have in only in New York right now is that our children are not protected.
Our children are not protected. Right, our children are not protected by left-wing radicals that have infiltrated, there's your naughty word, right, have infiltrated our school district and are corrupting our kids like the pigs from Animal Farm who took the puppies away from her mother, right? They are taking our children away from us, indoctrinating them with garbage. And Leo thinks that our children need more protection from us because we could teach them to follow their biological gender and, God forbid they don't become non-binary or they, become some homogeneous mixture. Like my kid doesn't want to become table salt or something. And if I, as a parent, say, that's not the smartest idea to be table salt doesn't get jobs. Table salt has one job, to be on a table and to salt food. There's very limited applications that a jar of table salt can do. And if my child becomes a jar of table salt or a shaker full of table salt, then it sounds like I'm going to be supporting my child their whole life as they become an inanimate object. And that kind of ideology of nonsense needs to get out of our school. And our kids are not safe from that. So, I can agree that they need safe space away from nonsense speakers like Leo.
If you are different in any way, shape, or form, you are not protected or shielded from comment from students and apparently now faculty. This is not about a person. This is about a system that has failed to put safeguards in place to make sure that children do not have to hear from people that they are told to respect that they are possessed by the devil. I received multiple calls this week from students, one of whom was diagnosed recently with schizophrenia. In the live video that was posted and broadcast this past week, that student was told that they were possessed by the devil. So
I don't think any of the videos that I reviewed that did J.Whitcher say that he was that anybody was possessed by the devil. I think there was problems like schizophrenia. I think he did mention schizophrenia and said, if you have schizophrenia, we have Christ for that, not medication. And I don't think he ever said that they were possessed by the devil. These are stretches, far stretches of the imagination. And this, a lot of this is becoming nonsense and ridiculous.
I, as a pastor, as a parent, and as a concerned citizen, stood there with that student and told them they were not possessed by the devil, that they were not inherently flawed. Moreover, that who they exist as is not an aberration, but you're just someone who belongs, and you didn't hear that when you should have.
No, but they do have schizophrenia, and we should help them not be schizophrenic, right? Isn't that the best? Like, if you have an arm that got caught off by a chainsaw, we don't just say now, hey, you need to accept yourself as the guy with the, that's bleeding from you're now that. No, you get them to the hospital and they fix it. They fix it. And I understand that, I don't I don't think medication is the answer, but I think we have to figure out what the underlying problems are, because we didn't have every fifth person have schizophrenia 100 years ago. So what has happened between now and then? We could go for hours talking about stuff like that.
This is not about freedom of religion, and this is not about J.Whitcher. And if you'll notice, as to this point, I haven't said his name because it's not about him, and it's not about religion, and it's not about an amendment. What it is, it's about a school system that has failed to put safeguards in place for its children. I would like to repeat the ask that we delivered 3 years ago on July 3rd, 2018, here in this very auditorium. We asked that the school board would institute a social media policy for faculty and staff. As a social worker, a career social worker who has done this for a decade after I was kicked out of the Christian church for being gay, I've always had to follow.
Okay, so we're going to go back 10 seconds.
A social worker, a career social worker who has done this for a decade after I was kicked out of the Christian church for being gay, I've always had...
Okay, so he says 10 seconds. Okay. All right, so the ladies in front didn't start it. All right, just to clarify. But this is the second video, right? This is the video that happens after Sean was 10 seconds booed off of his soapbox for his and that's he didn't start it. So these lunatics that are filming for Leo started it. Just want to clarify, and this is where the controversy lies.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I've always had to follow a social media policy for my given age. I'm actually just reading the board meeting minutes from 2018. We were requesting a social media policy for faculty and staff. We were requesting a diversity and equity committee with board representation and an honorary seat on the board, not to be a voting member, but to inform the board of the conversations that the committee had had. We had also asked for a gay-straight alliance to be formulated.
Keep it up, John.
School, which acted
Keep it up, buddy.
Principal. And we had asked for mandatory safe space training for all district employees. The point of the safe space training, it would be free. We have an agency that would be provided. All it would be is simply a training that would encourage people to use inclusive language, to talk about inclusive issues. Yeah, I can give this to you. I also spoke to Mr. Moore about
Every person should be concerned about their faith. Every person should be concerned about their freedom of religion.
Hey, you guys, I just want to share something. We have a Husky Strong email where you can.
So it got a little out of hand, right? But the problem is when you only watch this video, you don't see where they did this same thing with more shut the fucks up and other things like that to Sean, who is now retaliating with it, right? And I guess, just it's the heat of the moment. You're tired of listening to this nonsense because, on Leo's side, it's all nonsense, right? Leo got kicked out of the Christian religion for being gay. The problem is that none of our students in the school district should be kicked. Should have the devil possess them, right? You know why? Because being gay is a sexual orientation. Being straight is a sexual orientation. You do not have a sexual orientation if you're not having sex. J.Whitcher is the middle school co-principal. And I believe he's the younger principal, like he deals with the younger kids of the two. Of the split, like they split into the the grades, and Joel, I believe, is the younger of the two. But either way, even if he took care of all of the students in the middle school, those students are like 13 and under. 13-year-olds are not having sex, so they don't have a sexual orientation. The students in the high school shouldn't be having sex. I understand that. Last time I looked at New York State law was when I was in high school, because I had a buddy that was was a senior and he was dating a freshman, right? And there was always this big issue, like if you guys have sex, you're going to go to jail for child abuse and blah, blah. And so I looked into it. and there's like a 2-year gap rule, and like if you're older than the age of 15 and you have consensual sex with somebody who is older, that is no more than 2 years older than you, it's all built into the penal code. You can review it yourself. I don't know if they've changed it since I was in high school. We're talking almost 15 years ago. And then the age of consent in New York State officially is 17. So there's, like, you can't get in trouble for, with that 2-year rule. But essentially when you're 17 years old, you can have sex with somebody 2 years younger than you, all the way up until they're declared dead. So, which could be, 125 if you want. And then at the age of emancipation is 18, unless emancipated earlier by a judge, in a court of law. And, so, I mean, like, okay, do we have 17 and 18-year-olds at the high school? Yeah. Are they having sex? Probably. Should they be? No, they probably shouldn't be. And should kids that are 15 be having sex with somebody who's 16? No. Does the law say they can? Yes. Is it a good thing? No. You know what I mean? Like, does that teach them anything other than, like, because they can sneak cigarettes too. They can sneak drinking. These are a lot of things that are just, are just not good decision making that they should be doing at those ages when they have developing minds, right? We don't need this added stimuli. Thanks, Justin. So we've got comments coming through the YouTube channel. What am I talking about? Anyways, so sexual orientation. They should not be having children. Their children shouldn't be having sex, so they don't have a sexual orientation. That's it. So, ta-da. Anyways, if anybody out there has the video of where Sean was giving his speech, and then he was interrupted, I would like to have that, to bring that on the show and review that, because I know I've seen it. I've talked to multiple other people who have seen it. I was making sure I wasn't seeing things, and then you compare it with the speaking order at the school board, which is funny because Sean speaks before Leo, so all of a sudden that gets forgotten and the video disappears off the internet, and this video disappeared off the internet like 4 or 5 times, and then kept popping back up. So so that's it. Not a complete defense of Sean. Should he have screamed out and acted the way he did? Probably not. But was he out of line when they did it to him first? I'm not going to call him a monster over that. He definitely... Okay, I'll read your comment, Justin. Sexual orientation comes long before you first have sex. That's why you're attracted to people before you have sex. It's not like it's just randomly happens. Right, no, I get that. There are kids that you go to school with that you're like, yep, yeah, Tina's gonna be a big lesbo, right? Like, Jack's gonna be gay, right? Like you can tell certain people are going to have a sexual are going to orient themselves in that direction, but it's sexual, and our children shouldn't be sexual. They're children, right? That's part of it. And so but like you don't have. So first off, I have not seen any evidence or heard of any evidence from anybody in the school that J.Whitcher is calling kids aside and telling them, hey, we know that you might align yourself with homosexuality. He's not doing that. He might think that homosexuality is a sin through his religion, but he's not acting on it at his other job, which is being the principal. I'm not one to sit there, and I don't think anybody's calling out these kids and saying they're possessed by the devil for being gay, because so the sexual orientation point is like, so you could be attracted to people of the other sex and things like that, but if you're not having sex, you haven't committed to that sexual orientation. I don't know. That's my take on it. We can have more takes on this. I'm going to do a partial book review later, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and send your hate mail in because we do love reading it. And eventually, when we get a lot more of it, we'll start reading it on the show. So, thanks, gang. Talk to you soon. If this will ever change over. There we go.